My latest Epic Score album, Rise of Legends, has been released yesterday. I'm absolutely happy and grateful, and in this video I want to guide you through one of the tracks, Gladius Ultimus, and also I want to talk about the 3 main mistakes that new trailer music composers are doing over and over again. Seriously, I can't press this enough. Basically roughly 8 out of 10 tracks suffer from the same mistakes. And these 3 mistakes are basically: number 1, not paying attention to the structure of a trailer track. The second one is overthinking melody, chord progressions, and music theory in general. And the third one is only paying attention to the most obvious instruments of a trailer track. So let me play you the track first, and then we dive into the details. So let's talk about this first problem, not following the structure. Why do we have to follow a structure? Simply because a well-written trailer track equals a well-written story. Every good story has an intro, then every good story continues with a story or by building it, and then it leads into an ultimate finale. Maybe the reveal of an evil guy, maybe lots of exploding cars, lots of action, maybe a happy or a tragic ending. The other reason is also very simple. We want our music to be featured in a movie trailer, right? So we have to build tension and excitement basically to sell the movie or make a TV show, maybe the exploration of a cave, more interesting, more exciting. So even by looking at the arrangement of this track, you can see that we have an intro here, which is basically Act 1. Then we have a main part that is Act 2. And then we have a little bit of a more chill part, more of a bridge part for relaxing the ears, building more tension. And then we move into Act 3, the final part of the track. Another example would be the final rendered stereo file of this track. So basically you can clearly see that the track is building, right? And then this is an intro happening here. We have this little gap. And then we have the main part here. Then you can see that we have a building, let's say bridge part again. We have a gap again to just increase the tension. And then this entire track leading into the ultimate finale, or the ending part. So to be honest, I know it sounds a little bit provoking, but if you want to get into the trailer music industry, you want to learn how to write or arrange a good story. Forget about your entire sophisticated music theory knowledge, how to hop through the entire circle of fifth, or how to write the most complex and sophisticated track ever, how to reinvent the wheel or completely reinvent the entire genre. You simply want to create well-written music that is going to stick in people's minds. With a positive sense in mind, I could also say that you want to create generic music that can be used as often as possible in movie trailers, in TV productions or other media projects, simply because more features equals more money. And sorry, leaving all the passion and the joy we have for writing music, we also have to pay our bills. It is as simple as this. Okay, so let's talk about the second problem, overthinking melody, chords, music theory in general. Please listen to the main theme that I'm establishing here at the very beginning. That's basically everything the song or the track needs to develop. Okay, so now let's take a look at Act 2 or the main part here. This is basically the same melody, and just let's say to introduce some little bit of fresh wind, I played this guitar ostinato here. And then by combining the rhythm and the main melody here from this piano-like instrument, it developed into the chord progression that I'm introducing here in the second half of the main theme. That is basically everything I'm doing here. Let's hop over to Act 3 and then we just basically build it, introduce more action, more high dynamics. And then the chord progression basically here in the second, let's say the B part of the main theme develops basically more and more into this epic finale here. So I would go as far in saying if you have a simple pattern, you can create a simple melody out of that and then also combine that with a simple chord progression, and that is all your track needs. So in a nutshell, the art of trailer music is how can you build and establish a story without leaving it and introducing a completely different story. Let's get to the third point. Only paying attention to the most obvious instruments in trailer music. And I hear this very often when I listen to the music of new trailer music composers. So to bring it to a point and explain it quickly, trailer music is not about the epic horn melody, about the heavy percussions and the string ostinato. That's most of the time what I hear, and sometimes I hear tracks consisting only of these elements. But what makes a track epic or really massive sounding is all of the stuff that happens in the background. Okay, so I'm exaggerating a tiny little bit here, but I have heard tracks where people showed me, hey, is this valid or is this a good trailer track? And what I have activated or soloed here is basically the horn, which is actually a synth. Then I have the bass, I have a little bit of drums and the spiccato strings over here. So to bring it to the point, what other instruments do I have here in this track? So for example, we have a bass pulse going on here that stays on the same note. That is just living there on the root note. Then we have another track here that is an arpeggio that is... We have another layering going on, for example, the trombones here. I mean, I also hear a lot of tracks where people completely forget about the low brass. I mean, listen to these trombones. These sound... You know, this is epic for me. I'm getting goosebumps by hearing that. But what can you do to make it even more epic? You can introduce a synth sound that is just... something like this that sounds a little bit like a guitar. So when you play them both... there is a lot of power behind this. Another thing you can do, what I think is very cool, if you have spiccato strings, for example, you can use synth plucks to just enrich them. Or going even a step further and have two pluck sounds. Another point would be, why always only stick to, for example, orchestral strings? Why not, in the example of the B part of the main part, having an orchestral synth pad sound or a choir pad that plays here? And if you can record some heavy guitars, that also sitting in here. And last but not least, what I hear very often, that people just use one set, for example, of percussions, something like this here. Why not layering it with another set or some other drums here or another drum set down here that sounds like this? One last thing I want to mention, if you're interested in me analyzing all of the 12 tracks from this Epic Score album to bits and pieces, talking about the sample libraries, the plugins, the strategies, the methods, the ups and downs, take a look at the video description down below and you will find a link to my new course, Trailer Music Trailblazers 2. Also, I would be happy if you join my free Audio Artist Academy. That is my school community. You also find the link down below. And if you want to get a step further, if you want to enjoy weekly Zoom live calls, if you are interested in getting track feedback on your music, if you need help to establish your career, I'm also here for you with my Audio Artist Rise program. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Let me know how you like the track in the comments below. Also, if you have questions, if I can help you in any way, let me know, and see you on the next video.